We are back with Rania Mankarious with Crime Stoppers Houston and Kerry McCracken with the Children's Assessment Center. Last year, the bell-to-bell ban was enacted in all Texas public schools. It means no personal communication devices, cell phones, smartwatches, tablets, or laptops allowed during the school hour. Okay, so why the ban? Teachers say they spent too much time getting kids off their phones. They spend the first 15 to 20 minutes in class and just spot checking, get off your phone, get off your phone. Research says it caused heightened anxiety, body image issues. Kids, to your point earlier, were spending time recording peers in vulnerable situations, and they wanted to force some human interaction because they would go through the, how many times when you were in the school cafeteria it was like, Rania, we're over here, Kerry, you can sit with us over here. Well, you don't need to yell today because
you're texting.
because they were all sitting there texting and stuff like that. So there was a need to do this, and a lot of people thought there's no way in Texas that'll happen because parents were like, no, I need to get in touch with my child.
It's very complicated, and I'm one of those parents that thought, and I actually called the representative who wrote the law, and I said, I want to discuss this because our kids' schedules change so much, and they're getting on the bus after to do, football or soccer, and then it changes. And what about, from my organization's perspective, reports? Those kids use their cell phones to report, and now we're taking away the greatest tool they have to report anonymously. So it's a very complicated thing, and at the end of the day, each district has the right to decide how they want to handle the ban. Ultimately, we just don't want the cell phone on your desk during classroom time.
All right. And if you need to get in touch with your child, you call the office.
Yes, if your school has a full ban, you call the office. Because some schools say, well, we're just going to put the phone in a cubby, and then you have it during hallway pastime and at lunch. But if your school has a full ban, you have to work out a system with the front desk.
And there are some situations where they allow you to email if you need to.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Results so far: 15 to 20 minutes teaching time. Got it back. There's a sharp increase, and imagine this: library use.
Because they're all going to the computers to email, check Instagram.
Right. I need to do some research
on Instagram.com. No,
but they're actually picking up a book.
I know,
which is good. And then the libraries are no longer screen lounges because they would go there just to sit and look at their phones anyway. They're seeing more kids interact with each other, using the library space for projects and things. And they saw an immediate drop in cyberbullying,
which is very important. The ban is again very complicated, but ultimately we're trying to detach children from their devices, not technology, because kids still have access to technology all day, but to get them to interact.
All right. The internet at home, I've heard it being compared to like leaving the front door open, no security system at all. As you know, with kids who have been abused, a lot of times you'll say, well, how did you meet this person? It was that open door called the internet online, right?
Absolutely. The internet is so dangerous. It's so many good things too, right? But just like anything, we need to teach our children how to use it properly, and we need to be aware of what they're looking at. Again, we've already said this, but games, chat apps, all sorts of things, children can interact with strangers that they may think are their peer. You may be thinking you're playing, and I'm gonna, this is probably so dated, but Fortnite. I don't know what the current one is.
Do they still play Fortnite? Can anyone help us?
Said you're a gamer. Okay, you may think you're playing Fortnite with 14-year-old Joshua, but it's actually 50-year-old Steve, and you become friends again, and at some point 14-year-old Joshua says, meet me at the park, and guess what? You've met a predator.
And they're actually professionals at this. They can look at your profiles or your, what you've been, they can tell that the kid who you recently divorced family, they're kind of talking to your friends about it. They look for vulnerabilities.
Absolutely.
And when you have anonymity on the other side, and they're speaking to you, and they're complimenting you, they're giving you what they think you don't have and need, they can win you over. It has happened so many times. Montgomery County, two 15-year-old girls, they were lured via Snapchat by two men, and they were driven to a stadium parking lot. Both were sexually assaulted at gunpoint, then dropped off at a friend's house. They are arrested. They found them. But in the case of 15-year-old Kristen, she was lured from home over Instagram by human traffickers. They were members of a gang, and she was found dead in Missouri City. Deer Park, 12-year-old. Lured at midnight by a 22-year-old man. So she is online at midnight at 12 years old. And that was the Meet Me app. and they found them at a motel in Cyprus. This happens again and again and again and again.
Parents have to start talking to their children at a very young age about technology. And again, Kerry said it right. It's not all bad. Of course not. There's wonderful things online. And I would Google, trending funny TikTok videos for 13-year-old girls. So when my daughter was 13, get in the car and say, "Did you see the funny video, blah, blah, blah?" And we'd laugh. "You're so cool, Mom." I'd say, "I know." But then but that laid the foundation for me to say, "But did you hear about the 15-year-old girl who started talking to the guy on Snapchat and really trusted him and met him?" These platforms can be so wonderful and so dangerous.
It's where we saw drugs being sold. We had Dr. Laura Berman,
Absolutely.
and her son got his drugs
on
and
Snapchat.
Again, Snapchat, and of course,
fentanyl-laced pills delivered to his house. Sam Chapman says as easy as getting a pizza. And so, if kids want to have access to this technology, and by the way, parents, if your child wants access, they're going to get access.
All right, Sherilyn said, they're going to get, so it's not, 100%, but you can put your own controls in place to help, right? But Sherilyn says, "My daughter is 16 years old and loathes the fact that I follow or friend her on every app she's on. She also has to grant me access for my surprise phone checks. She says it's a gross violation of her rights. After all, she's 16. Does she have privacy rights? She says it's unauthorized access. Wow. By the way, I also search her room every now and then, which she also maintains is a violation of her privacy." Kerry, legally, what kind of privacy does that?
No, this is the time to be the parent and not the friend, right?
Yeah.
And it's safety. It's so simple to say, like, when our kids are little bitty, like, the first thing when you're crossing the street, you look both ways. This is safety. You are keeping them safe. So yes, you have a right to look at what they're looking at. If they don't like it, too bad.
Too bad.
And I wanted to circle back around a little bit to what you said about the last example about the young lady, 12 o'clock midnight. There's no need to be on the phone at 12 o'clock midnight. So I recommend to parents, like, when it's bedtime, gather up the phones.
Lockbox.
Gather up the phones. You can give them back in the morning. You can cut off internet. Limit that internet. It is, like I said, this is your time to be the parent. And again, I like what you said about, you talk about TikTok in the car in the morning. A lot of parents are like, how do I establish this pattern of talking to my children? Guess what? In the car, they're captive.
Captive, that's right, that's right.
How was your day? Who'd you talk to?
All right, I'm going to end with Karina. She goes, "I know. Where have I been? I recently found out about Life 360. With 2 kids away at college, this has given me some peace of mind. My son and daughter and their dad think I'm being overbearing and ridiculous. I think I should get points for not conducting unofficial visits to campus. Seriously, should I cut the apron string, or am I in my proper space as a parent to employ Life 360 as a safety measure?"
I think as a parent, they are your children forever. And I think, we have to let our children grow and develop and become independent, and at some level, cut the cord somewhat, but they are still our children. And every case is different, every child's different. I do want to jump back to the privacy issue really quickly to just say, I always tell kids, when you're on the World Wide Web, talking to anyone, anywhere about anything, you should have zero expectation for privacy. You want privacy, get a diary. They were very popular in 1985.
With the little key?
Right, whatever you want in that
Don't tell your
diary.
little sister where it
and
is.
hide it under the bed. And there you have an expectation for privacy. But when you're communicating with anyone, anywhere, it is our job. It is our legal responsibility, and it doesn't matter where the tech comes from. I don't want parents to say, "Well, I bought that phone." No, because a predator will buy them a phone.
That's exactly
so. It's not about that. It is about connecting anyone, anywhere. We have a duty to keep you safe.
All right, so much more to talk about all school year long. We'll have y'all back. Log on to crime-stoppers.org, crime-stoppers.org for various tips and resources related to child and school safety. Crime Stoppers also recently launched the SafeSpaceForStudents.com, a judgment-free digital space designed to help students navigate real-life challenges. And also for information aimed at protecting your child from predators, the CAC has an education and prevention tab on their website, cachhouston.org.